The Foreign Secretary indicated officials would be told to stay away from the tournament this summer in Russia. If Vladimir Putin's government is implicated in the alleged poisoning of double agent Sergei Skripal, 66, and his daughter Yulia, 33, Mr. Johnson told MPs, should evidence emerge that implies state responsibility, then Her Majesty's government will respond robustly. Police were last night continuing urgent inquiries into what left the Skripals fighting for their lives after being found unconscious on a bench in Salisbury, Wiltshire, on Sunday afternoon. In dramatic comments scenes, the Foreign Secretary branded Moscow a malign force in the world and said assassination attempts on UK soil would not go unpunished. Mr. Johnson said the alleged poisoning of Mr. Skripal, a double agent who came to Britain after spy swap, had echoes of the death of ex-KGB man Alexander Litvinenko in London in 2006 after he drank tea laced with radioactive polonium-210. Boris Johnson described Moscow as a malign force in the world should evidence emerge that implies state responsibility, then Her Majesty's government will respond robustly. Boris Johnson, his murder is said to have been approved by Mr. Putin. The Foreign Secretary told the Commons that if the Skripal case turned out to be what many MPs suspect, we will have to have a serious conversation about our engagement with Russia, he warned. Thinking ahead to the World Cup this summer, it is very difficult to imagine how UK representation at that event could go ahead in the normal way, and we will certainly have to consider that. A source close to Mr. Johnson clarified that he was not suggesting pulling the England squad out of the tournament, which starts on June 14, but British officials and dignitaries could stay away if Moscow is to blame for the Skripals' plight. British officials and dignitaries may boycott the World Cup if Moscow is found to be culpable. Hay warned Russia, this government will take whatever measures we deem necessary to protect the lives of the people in this country, our values and our freedoms. No attempt to take innocent life on UK soil will go either unsanctioned or unpunished, he added. It is worth it for this country to carry on with what it is doing to stand up to Russia, even if it exposes us to this kind of threat and challenge. Russia is determined to impose its own way of thinking, particularly on the peoples of Central and Eastern Europe, the countries of the former Soviet Union. It is the UK that is in the lead in standing up to it. Many other countries would prefer to turn a blind eye. We do not take that view, we take a principled view, he said. Russia was now in many respects a malign and disruptive force. Tuesday, March 6, 2018, a police tent in Salisbury at the spot in the Maltings shopping centre asked if he saw Russian cyber attacks on critical UK infrastructure as just nuisances or acts of war. Mr. Johnson told MPs, I increasingly think that we have to categorise them as acts of war, which means that we need to elaborate a new doctrine of response and a new doctrine of deterrence. Responding directly to Mr. Johnson's address to MPs, the Russian embassy posted, the Foreign Secretary spoke in such a manner as if the investigation was already over and Russia was found responsible for what had happened in Salisbury. We regret that instead of a proper official clarification on the issue, the Foreign Secretary chose to threaten Russia with retribution. Prime Minister Theresa May and senior ministers were updated yesterday on the Skripal case at a meeting of the National Security Council in the Cabinet Room in 10 Downing Street.